the marketing world doesn't seem to appreciate the gamer. They don't seem to appreciate all of these people who are spending all this time online playing video games. But this is something you need to be aware of because it's entirely possible that gaming can overtake social media. And the reason why is actually pretty simple. It's because gaming is social. It's actually a form of social media. It's involving other people. It's interacting with other people. You know, I got friends who play Animal Crossing and they talk to each other about how they're going to visit each other in their Animal Crossing world. So there's people actually visiting each other in this virtual world right now. And it's very social. So in this video, I want to talk about the gaming mindset. What does that mean for so many people who are playing video games? First of all, acknowledging that it's happening. Some article reporting that it's overtaking sports among 18 to 34-year-olds. There was a study showing that 77% of millennials and 57% of Gen Z are gaming more in April 2020, and they will continue to do so. And one of the features, besides the social aspect, being social provides meaning for us. And in some sense, we're going through a meaning crisis or a sort of individual identity crisis right now. And so gaming does fill this need of finding meaning. And it does that by creating certain things that we look for when we try to seek meaning. And these are characteristic patterns that define the sort of quest for meaning. It involves rites of passage and stories, challenges, vision, and recognition. So these certain characteristics are key to gaming. They're key to overcoming obstacles and accomplishing, and games provide that. So I want to give you some examples of how companies are taking advantage of this. The first is MrBeast. They did something very interesting. They created this app where the challenge is to keep your finger on your phone as long as possible. And the person who keeps their finger on the phone the longest wins up to $25,000. So you got all these people going on at the same time, and they have to move their finger according to numbers that appear on the screen. So there is a task that they have to do to ensure that they're paying attention and that they're actually doing this. And so these users who have a gaming mindset, they're adapted to playing games, are readily interested in being engaged in this sort of way. And MrBeast is taking advantage of that here. They're incentivized to download the app. They'll give them their phone number without too much hesitation here, because if you win, you'll be contacted through the phone. And what's interesting is if you lose, at the very top, it shows the amount of award that you'll get, and the award changes. So that's just another aspect that involves sort of a gaming mindset and gamification, is changing points, changing award value. And the interesting thing is when you fail, you get to adjust a slider on the game that dictates the amount of award that the winner will get, between 0.01 cent and 25,000. It's a very interesting behavioral experiment that each user participates in figuring out how much money the winner will ultimately get. And interesting from a behavioral science perspective because it further invests them within the game and keeps them interested in how it will end up, who's going to win. Ben & Jerry's provide the next example. They've got this Boots on the Moon game that they created. So they created an actual game that their customers can get engaged in. So again, they're recognizing that there's a group of people who are interested in this structure that is provided by the game, and they're providing that platform for you to engage. There's an interesting example here from a local community, which is trying to get people to visit local restaurants. And so it's a random restaurant generator. Basically, you see all the possibilities of the restaurants you could go to. It slides through them, and then the sort of one that they recommend pops up. You know, maybe it makes your choice of where to go out to eat a little bit easier, but it's gamifying that question. Burger King used gamification here in this little ad. You could see that they get that timer going on and then got a QR code that hops about. And so your task is to capture that QR code so that you can get a free burger. The Faroe Islands tourism did something really interesting where during the time when people couldn't be visiting and exploring the island, they encouraged people to get online and move an actual person around the island with a joystick. They'd have them jump and they'd have them explore. So it allows them to explore the island and raise awareness about the island to other people. But again, it's leveraging the notion that there are people out there who have psychologically adapted to dealing with video games. And so the ability of them to engage in the Faroe Islands in this sort of process is pretty straightforward. And that's the key point here. That's why the gaming mindset is so important for marketers to consider. Denny's here has inserted themselves in Animal Crossing. They've got their own little place and little character. Sentosa Island in Singapore did the same thing. When people couldn't visit the island, they actually had a marketing team go out and create all of these different places so you could go and visit while you're playing around in Animal Crossing. Must be a pretty interesting job of that marketing team to be sitting there for hours on end just making an island in Animal Crossing. But, you do what you got to do. So these are various ways that brands have considered gamification and considered the gaming mindset. The notion that people are drawn to video games, and that means that it'll be easier for them to engage with your brand if you can use some of the features that are popular in video games. And for more on this, I'll talk about how esports streamers have been used as a spokesperson for companies, because that will engage the audience of these gamers. This is something that Gillette did with Dr. Lupo. So hopefully you can appreciate the increase in gaming that is happening right now and the notion that it can potentially overtake social media because it itself is social, and it's definitely something that marketers need to consider. So hit the subscribe and the bell button if you want to stay tuned on our posts. Intermark Group is a full-service marketing agency that embeds a layer of psychology in their creative work. We add behavioral science to our creative, which helps you increase the psychological impact between your brand and your customer. Be sure to like this video if you like it, and feel free to share it on your social media. And you can learn more about us in the description below. Thanks for checking this out.